One, two, three, audio testing. One, two, three, audio testing. Today is April 28th, 2021. Welcome, Maida. Please give your classmates perhaps 2 more minutes. That way I can begin today's class and try to do most of the skills that I can, along with your help, of course. And well, next week, we are going to conclude our module with the last unit. So we have approximately 3 days to finish 2 units. Today is going to be a busy day. Hoy va a ser un día, ¿cómo lo puedo decir? Busy in English, but in Spanish no quiero decir apurado. Hoy va a ser un día intenso en pocas palabras, porque tenemos que terminar una unidad y en la siguiente clase tenemos la unidad 5. Así que le damos 2 minutos más a tus compañeros. Thank you very much. One, two, three, audio testing. One, two, three, audio testing. Maida, welcome to today's class. As I mentioned before, today is our class 10 out of 12, meaning we have 10, 11, and 12. We have 3 classes and we have to cover 2 units. So, welcome. How are you today? How was your visit to the dentist? How was your visit to the dentist? It was okay. How was it? Okay. Good. Are you able to talk today? Are you able to articulate words, or are you still hurting? ¿Todavía te duele un poco? Es decir, ¿puedes articular palabras? ¿Cómo te sientes?
Ya estoy mejor, ahora sí ya puedo articular palabras. Entonces, hasta días anteriores no podía abrir la boca.
Muy bien. Perfect. Well, today you are the only student online, and well, por cuestiones de tiempo, I am going to continue, and we are going to go over through this unit a little bit faster than before. Lo vamos a hacer un poquito más rápido que en las unidades anteriores. Como podemos ver, as you can see here on the units, what is it? The unit summary, okay, el resumen. We have language review here. Let me read it. You can use the vocabulary of this unit to, vamos a poder utilizar el vocabulario para, to talk about past activities, para hablar de actividades que ya pasaron, pasadas, es decir, el pasado simple, simple past. And we know that in simple past, we have two types of verbs. Tenemos dos tiempos verbales. No dos tiempos verbales, sino dos grupos de verbos, regular and irregular. Yesterday, when I was listening to your presentation, I was able to detect that for some or certain verbs, the pronunciation is different, okay? Entonces, we are going to familiarize ourselves, at least in a phonetical way, okay, throughout this unit. And well, we are also going to be introduced to irregular verbs. Verbos irregulares son los que cambian completamente su cuerpo como en una metamorfosis, okay? Es decir, no es lo mismo decir I eat chicken, yo como pollo, a I ate chicken. O sea, cambia mucho el verbo, no tiene nada que ver como el grupo de los regulares que termina con una ed y lo único que difiere entre ellos pues es la pronunciación, el cual las dos pronunciaciones que más vamos a utilizar es el que termina con la i y con la d, es decir, id, ¿no? Por ejemplo, want, wanted, wanted, play, played, played, pero nunca, nunca se va a decir played, wanted, ¿no? Eso es lo más importante de, bueno, el primer grupo que son los verbos regulares, son los que terminan con ed. Y bueno, recordándote, son tres pronunciaciones de ese grupo, ¿ok? Ahora, permíteme, me está mandando un mensaje Gabriel, un segundo, creo que... Un segundo, por favor.
Mister, I hope you have a great night. I come to advise you that my recording is ready. I talk a little about diagrams. I don't know how my situation is, of course. I was so busy and I wanted to apologize for that. It is a very important in my profession, in my life, and I strongly prefer to have time to study English. Would you like to know if I still have chance?
Okay, sorry. Yes, thank you very much. So going back to our unit summary, we already know that we are going to learn and familiarize with the simple past. And we now know that there are two different types of verbs, groups, regular and irregular. So for example, remember the verb to be. This verb, it is not only important to know it in your when you are starting to learn this language, but it is also important to study it because this is a special verb because we can inform many things with this verb. And not only that, this verb is so unique that it can be transformed into three different grammar conjugations. For example, I am, you were, he is. The same conjugation for only one verb. For example, if we if we choose the verb play, then it would be I play, you play, he or she plays. I only add the S in third person singular, but the verb to be is really, really unique. Well, so far, that's what we are concentrating on. Then we have the pronunciation for dicha, dicha. This is the same as did you. And well, this auxiliary verb is the one that you're going to use the most when asking questions. Did you play? Did you eat? Did you go? Did you buy? Did you see? Did you watch? Okay. And of course, remember, it is called an auxiliary verb because it aids, ayuda, pues al verbo núcleo de la pregunta. Por lo tanto, el verbo ya no debe de estar conjugado en pasado. Este auxiliar lo convierte en pasado. Y bueno, when speaking, cuando se habla, when pronunciating and trying to become a fluent speaker, most of the people, at least in American English, they do not usually say did you, did you, did you. They say dicha. Did you go to the school? Did you go to the school? Did you go to the school? Okay, it's faster. It's faster and well. Did you play? Did you play? Did you eat chicken, etc. Okay, so that's the pronunciation dicha, dicha. Okay, and well, we have some city names. Okay, then vocabulary. We are concentrating on traveling vocab. For example, when you arrive to a hotel and you would like to reserve, well, not reserve, not when you arrive, you reserve when you are going to travel and you reserve in a week before. So reserve, American English, book in, British English, okay? So to make a reservation, okay? Or to cancel a reservation, to schedule, okay? Schedule can mean two different things. It can be the noun, such as agenda, or it can also be schedule as to make a reservation, of course. Check-in is when you arrive to the hotel, okay? Then we have fare and tourist. For the reading and writing, we are going to read an article about a brochure about educational travel tours, okay? A brochure, okay? What places we must visit, okay? What places we must visit, what time, and the location, okay? But in this case, the locations are dealing with educational travel tours. So maybe we can talk about museums, universities. What else? Maybe some private companies that allow people to know a little bit about their success. Okay, so this is what we are going to learn for this unit. Okay, with that being said, let's begin today's unit by, let me close here. Let's begin by, okay, I either start with a listening activity or vocabulary. We already know what type of vocabulary we are going to go over. I don't know if you remember, but I do remember. Remember I mentioned to book in, well, that's British, okay? To make a reservation, to cancel, etc. Okay? So let's begin now by listening to today's video about, well, traveling abroad. Let me share my screen. Et voila. Before we begin, let's read here, let's read this one. The cultural note. What should we know before we begin? Culture note. Okay, so we somehow are dealing with the same context in this module. Remember last unit, we familiarize ourselves with introducing a new work member into a company, okay? Introducing. So here, let's continue. Co-workers. Co-workers often talk about their weekend plans and past activities. So yes, when you arrive to work, especially on a Monday, what's the common conversation that co-workers have? What did you do? What did you do on Saturday? What did you do throughout the weekend? What did you do on the weekend? ¿Qué hiciste el fin de semana? What did you do on the weekend? Okay? Here, another one. Anna says, a bunch of tourist stuff. A bunch means a lot of. And well, a lot of is a quantifier that we also learn on Unit 3. A lot of sugar, a lot of money, a lot of oranges. So you also remember that this quantifier is for both countable and uncountable. So here we have a new quantifier, a bunch of. Un montón de, prácticamente. Un montón de o muchas cosas que tienen que ver con. A bunch of tourist stuff. Cosas de turistas. So maybe they work on a tourism agency, something like that. So next, Anna says that she spent way too much money. Okay, way too much. Way too much is mucho dinero en este caso. So here, way too much means a very large amount. También es bueno, específicamente para un monto. Y sabemos que un monto es incontable. Way too much. Demasiado mucho, ¿no? Que vendría siendo en español algo que vendría siendo, pues gramaticalmente no correcto, pero culturalmente ya aceptado. Way too much. All right, so with that being said, let's begin with today's video.
Chris. How was your weekend?
Boring. I was at home all weekend. How about you?
Oh, you know me. I'm never home on weekends.
Where were you?
I was in LA.
Seriously?
Yes, Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. Sounds like fun. What did you do?
A bunch of tourist stuff. Shopping on Rodeo Drive, Venice Beach, and a tour of Universal Studios.
Did you have a good time?
Oh yeah, it was great. But I spent way too much money.
Okay, dicho. I pronounce it as dicha, and he pronounced it as dicha. Dichu, dichu. Okay, a little bit more formal or more phonetically appealing. Okay, but both are correct. And another question that I was able to detect was, how was your weekend? That's another way of asking, what did you do on the weekend? How was your weekend? Okay, so let's watch the video one more time, but with subtitles.
Hi, Chris. How was your weekend?
Boring. I was at home all weekend. How about you?
Oh, you know me. I'm never home on weekends.
Where were you?
I was in LA.
Seriously?
Yes, Los Angeles.
Oh, wow. Sounds like fun. What did you do?
A bunch of tourist stuff. Shopping on Rodeo Drive, Venice Beach, and a tour of Universal Studios.
Did you have a good time?
Oh yeah, it was great. But I spent way too much money.
Okay, so she mentioned she was in LA, Los Angeles. Okay, here I have many things to talk about. I have a bunch of things I would like to share with you and your classmates once they are able to see today's video. LA, okay, Los Angeles. Why is it pronounced Los Angeles instead of Los Angeles? Okay, number one, for example, in English, el acento no existe, la tilde, como le llamen, no existe. Por lo tanto, se pronuncia con esa intonación pues anglosajona, americanizado, okay? Number two, LA, I guess is the only city in which you can call it by LA. For example, no creo que alguien pronuncie New York como NW. For example, what did you do on the weekends? I went to NY, and it was amazing. Creo que nadie te va a decir NY, NY, sino simplemente New York. Pero ¿por qué cuando nos referimos a Los Angeles, we refer to it as LA? Well, I believe it's the most important or most popular one, okay? Y como que también suena bonito dentro de los deportes, que también tiene un gran impacto en la lingüística o en la jerga. LA, okay, good. So here, we are not going to do this as a group, okay? But these questions deal with this video, okay? With that being said, let me close. Good, so listening part, the video has already been explained and students will be able to do those two activities. So today I am activating listening. Now let's continue to vocabulary, okay? So it's about traveling, making a reservation, etc. Let me share. Okay. Let me share my screen. That way I won't have to spend more time. Voila, bingo. So today we are concentrated with fare, cancel, reserve, schedule, check-in, and tourist. Now let's begin by listening the actual pronunciation, and it's not the meaning, but it's an example using this word. Let's begin.
Fare.
The first class fare from New York to Washington, D.C. is $500.
Fare.
The first class fare from New York to Washington, D.C. is $500.
Cancel.
I have to cancel my trip to Mexico in December. Maybe I can go there in April.
So this is what I mean.
Cancel.
I have to cancel my trip to...
Sorry, this is what I mean when in reading you have
Cancel.
I have to...
Okay. This is what I mean when, for example, you see a Spanish word without la tilde, without el acento. You pronounce it with an American pronunciation. It's not Mexico, it's Mexico. Mexico, okay? So that's what I meant a few minutes ago. Now, let's continue.
Reserve.
We need to reserve 2 seats on the plane to Boston for next Friday.
Schedule.
This schedule says that the train leaves Frankfurt at exactly 10:07.
Check in.
When you go to the airport, remember to check in at the ticket counter.
Check in.
When you go to the airport, remember to check in at the ticket counter.
Tourist.
Emmy is not a tourist. She came to the United States to study.
Tourist.
Emmy is not a tourist. She came to the United States to study.
Okay, here on check-in, a similar word or a synonym could be not added, but compare. For example, register. Maybe register is somehow the same as check-in. Now, I will read and you will shout out loud. You will try to remember the vocab that we just went over and tell me which of those words best represent this meaning. Number 1, ask for a place in a hotel or on a plane. Ask for a place in a hotel or on a plane. Which of the words do you think best fits? Louder? ¿Más alto? ¿Te interrumpí otra vez? Register. Register, yes, I like it. O bueno, yo dije register, pero sería la otra palabra. Adelante. Check. Check in. Correct? Check in. Very good. Number 2, let me read it. Number 2, say that something you plan will not happen. Maybe yes, we can check. Ajá, adelante. Ajá, can you type it? ¿Lo puedes teclear? Type it on Zoom. Because I cannot hear you. Cancel, yes, cancel, good. Then number 3, the price you pay to travel by bus, train, or plane. Can you type it? Yes, fare. I was not completely, thank you very much, Mayra. I was not completely sure about this word, or as a matter of fact, I still do not have a translation or a meaning, an interpretation for fare in Spanish. But in English, I now have an idea about the meaning. Here, the first class fare, so the price. Let's go here. The price you pay, okay? So correct, fair. Next, a plan of what is going to happen and when it is going to happen. Si lo puedes gritar, grítalo, go ahead. Good. And you type it in. Lo acabas de escribir. Schedule. Yesterday, when I was going through your presentation, palabras que empiezan con S. En inglés, usualmente su pronunciación es como, yo le digo a mis estudiantes de kinder, como una serpiente. Space, stop. Tratamos de no pronunciar o anteponer una E. So yes, schedule, good job. Here, next, a person who goes to a new place for fun. A person who goes to a new place for fun. Tourist, yes, correct. Good job, Mayra. Tourist is a person that travels for pleasure and not business, and not for business manners. Last one, go to the desk of a hotel or airport to say you are there. Which one? To go to a desk, to check in. Very good, check in. Así que la primera, creo que también dijimos que era check in or register. Aquí tenemos ask for a place in a hotel or on a plane. Pedir o preguntar por un lugar, ya sea en un hotel o en un aeroplano, en un avión, pues eso sería pedir algo, pedir un hotel, querer algo, ok, vamos a ver. Maybe reserve should be
Reserve.
number 1.
We need to
Okay, so that should be all. Eso sería todo. Solamente voy a checar, okay, if I am correct. That sounds correct, so. One second, please. Okay, I do not have the submit, but we can perhaps leave it like that because I am sure it should be the correct vocab. So for vocabulary, we have already done this one, okay? And this is going to be activated for today. You still have 2 more activities. They are not difficult, I believe. I know that you are going to be able to do them without any problem. So with that being said, let's continue to the grammar. What grammars are we going to familiarize with? Remember the verb to be in past and, well, regular and irregular verbs. So let's begin by just going over the explanation. So we have three explanations. Let's start. Let's start.
Hi, I'm here again. I was here yesterday, too. Was is a word we use to talk about the past. Here's another example. Luis and Emmy were at Kate's party last night. Now let's study more examples of was and were.
Was and were are the past tense of be. Use was with I, he, she, and it.
I was at home all weekend.
He was in LA on Saturday and Sunday.
Use were with you, we, and they.
We were at the movies on Sunday.
They were at the beach.
Okay, so the first explanation is really easy. Perhaps back in your high school or bachelor's university class, perhaps you learned this verb with this table of conjugation. Okay, here we always put the verb in infinitive. In this case, we are talking about the verb to be, all right? And well, infinitive. Then here is the, sorry, this verb goes here. So let me erase. Let me clear all. And I will share, this is just for time manners. We are going to, well, I am going to share a table of conjugations of the verb to be, but the main goal is to not learn the conjugations for the verb to be, but to know and familiarize how to conjugate using the table of conjugations, okay? So I will share a picture, a snapshot on the private, not on the private, but on the groupal WhatsApp, okay? It should only state the subject pronouns, I, you, he, she, we, they. Some other tables of conjugations, they might have the extra you, para ustedes, but I explained that apart, okay, apart. But for the moment, that should be all. So let's continue. Okay, Mayra, welcome back. Bienvenida de regreso. Let's continue with the explanation.
To make yes-no questions, we change the word order.
You were in LA this weekend. Were you in LA this weekend?
Kate was with you. Was Kate with you?
Good. So in order to make questions, all you have to do is change, okay? We always, in English, we always begin with, whenever we are asking, we always begin with an auxiliary verb. In this case, we are talking about the verb to be. Therefore, the questions that we can manage using this verb will only consist of ser, estar o tener. Son las únicas veces en las cuales yo podría hacer preguntas utilizando ese verbo. Para las otras preguntas utilizamos el otro auxiliar que es do, y para tercera persona singular, does. For example, do you play? Does she play? Bueno, pues en este caso tenemos a el verbo to be que sirve para preguntar, ¿estás en Córdoba? ¿Tienes tantos años o tienes frío? Es decir, algún síntoma, algún feeling. Y el otro es ser, estar o tener. ¿Eres Juan? ¿Eres maestro? Son las únicas, el único contexto con el verbo to be, y este es el verbo to be. Let's continue.
To make information questions, we add question words like who, what, where, when, and how before was and were.
How was your weekend?
Boring. Where were you?
In LA.
Who was with you?
Emmy and Sam.
Remember, there are two ways to form questions with who.
Who were you with?
I was with Anna.
Who was with you?
Anna was with me.
Okay, good. So, tenemos preguntas directas y preguntas informativas. Direct questions, informative questions. Las preguntas directas son aquellas preguntas que vas a obtener una respuesta sí y no. For example, are you in Mexico? Yes. Yes, I am. No, I am not. Good. Pero preguntas, por ejemplo, utilizando WH. Estas son las famosas WH y aquí les llaman palabras de preguntas, question words, ¿ok? Algunos otros les podrían llamar WH questions, ¿ok? Y ya si nos vamos a una lingüística más elevada, pues se le denominan de una forma diferente que no recuerdo precisamente ahorita, pero sí tienen un nombre estos WH words. Good. Entonces es para quién, cómo, cuándo, dónde, por qué. Good. Y aquí tenemos que cuando hacemos preguntas con who, usualmente se utilizan dos diferentes formas. Who was with you? ¿Quién estaba contigo en singular? ¿Ok? Y aquí tenemos claro, por supuesto, en inglés siempre tenemos que identificar de quién estamos hablando. Podría ser who were with you. ¿Quiénes estaban? ¿Ok? Was y were. Let's continue. Bueno, pues ya vimos la forma positiva, positive. Ya vimos the interrogative. And now we are concentrating on negative.
In the negative, we use was not and were not, or the contractions wasn't and weren't. We usually use contractions in conversations.
Chris was at home all weekend. Anna was not at home all weekend. Anna wasn't at home all weekend.
Laura and Paul were at the movies on Saturday. Emmy and Sam were not at the movies on Saturday. Emmy and Sam weren't at the movies on Saturday.
Okay, so here estaba la palabra were not. Es también correcto, es correcto, pero te están enseñando a utilizar de una forma in a contraction form. That's how they use it. Some others, they use it as the short form, la forma corta o contraída, podría ser en español, contraction, okay? So, los dos son correctos, okay? Wasn't, pronunciación, wasn't, weren't, wasn't, weren't, weren't. Good. Mucho cuidado con, por ejemplo, they, por ejemplo, cuando pronunciamos y queremos decir, ellos estaban en Córdoba. They were in Córdoba. Bueno, pues ahí estamos utilizando el famoso were, perdón, este verbo y este verbo sin la H. Were. Y ya el otro que vendría siendo where, ¿de dónde? Where, okay, is different. So let's pay attention to that. Okay, Gabriel Génesis, bienvenido. Welcome to today's class. El día de hoy estamos familiarizándonos, aprendiendo el verbo to be, pero en pasado. Una cosa es decir I am y otra cosa es decir I was. Yo soy, yo era. O I am, I was, sabemos que significa tres cosas en español. Yo soy, yo estoy y yo tengo. Entonces podría ser yo estoy y yo estaba, ¿ok? Y bueno, el verbo to be es único porque se conjuga de tres diferentes, bueno, de tres formas diferentes en presente y en pasado cambiamos a dos formas. I was, she was o he was y ya para los demás. Por ejemplo, nosotros éramos o estábamos, we were, o ellos, they were. Y justo llegaste cuando estaba haciendo la diferencia entre las pronunciaciones were y where, porque where es dónde. Cosa que también ya estamos viendo aquí, por ejemplo, where, para hacer preguntas informativas. O sea, ¿dónde, cómo, cuándo, por qué? ¿Ok? Good. Fuera de ello, bienvenido a la clase de hoy. Estamos en la unidad 4 y vamos a tratar de ver lo más que podamos para así poder terminar en los siguientes 3 días, 3 clases, 2 unidades. ¿Cómo estás, Gabriel? ¿Todo bien?
Yes, teacher, I'm fine. Gracias. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so let's continue. Ok, me quedé en la forma negativa. The negative way. Let's continue with number 6. Así que la forma negativa no es lo mismo decir I was a I wasn't. O ella no estaba, she wasn't. O él no estaba, he wasn't. O si quiero hablar de mi pescadito o de mi perrito, it wasn't. Para los otros pronombres, you were not o you weren't o were not. Las dos son completamente aceptables. Sin embargo, cuando hablamos, sabemos que cuando hablamos tratamos de, pues, no hablar de más, no repetir como un robot. Así que los americanos utilizan la forma corta, la forma con una contraction, utilizando este apóstrofe. Entonces, wasn't, weren't. Wasn't, weren't. Number 6, let's continue.
To answer yes-no questions, we use was and were in the long answer and the short answer.
Anna, were you here last week?
No, I wasn't.
Anna, were you here last week?
No, I was away on vacation.
Were Chris and Luis with you?
No, they weren't. They were in the city all week.
Ok, so lo que quiere dar a entender esto es de que tú tienes dos formas de cómo contestar. Una, de la forma más corta, que es respondiendo a la pregunta, sí y no. ¿Ok? Esto en español significa no. No y punto. Porque no creo que alguien o en español se utilice no, yo no lo estaba, no, yo no lo tengo, no, yo no tengo, sino no y sí, al menos en español. Pero en inglés sí. A una pregunta a una pregunta directa y corta, yes, I was, no, I wasn't. O si quieres agregar más información, puedes decir, no, yo no lo estaba, yo estaba con fulano de tal. No, I wasn't, I was with Luis Miguel, for example. Okay? So it is acceptable. Number 7.
To talk about the past, we can use adverbs. Here are some examples.
I was here yesterday. Last week, Sam was here. Laura and Paul weren't here on Saturday. Last weekend, Chris wasn't here. Emmy wasn't here last year.
Note: adverb expressions can come at the beginning or end of the sentence.
Ok, so adverbs, adverbios, ¿para qué? Como les comentaba, a los americanos les encanta ser muy precisos y exactos de cuándo es que pasó algo, especialmente cuando hablan en pasado, ¿no? ¿Cuándo? Ayer, yesterday. ¿Cuándo? Last week, la semana pasada. O el sábado, cuidado, porque el sábado es on. Incluso también para los sábados yo puedo decir on Saturdays. For example, on Saturdays. Una pregunta, ¿cuándo juegas béisbol? When do you play baseball? On Saturdays, los sábados, ¿ok? Or every Saturday. Ok, good. Y estos adverbios también conocidos como time phrases, ok, que tienen que ver con el tiempo, pueden ir al final o al principio. Good. Bueno, y supongo que esto es la introducción y la explicación, al menos del verbo to be, en pasado. Pero como vamos a aprender a hablar en pasado, since we are going to learn how to identify past context, we are going to also learn about los dos grupos de los cuales vimos en el unit summary, ¿ok? Así que hay dos verbos, verbo regular y verbo irregular. Los regulares son los que terminan con ed y tienen dos pronunciaciones más utilizadas. El que termina con la id, for example, played, wanted, o el que termina con la pronunciación letra T. For example, like en pasado, light. I liked, ¿ok? Hay otra pronunciación, pero sería un poco menos usada que estas primeras dos. Pero lo importante es que nunca digas played, wanted. Good. Let's continue with la segunda explicación de la gramática. Vamos a ver a verbos regulares, los que terminan con la ed. Very good.
Hi, how are you today? Did you work yesterday? I didn't. I stayed at home. I watched TV. These are more examples of the past. Now, let's study some more examples.
Music to my ears. I watched. Watched. No. Watched. Ajá, es como una música, hay armonía, ¿ok? Bueno, ese es un verbo y es un ejemplo que utiliza la coach, this coach, pues, adrede, ¿no? So, the simple past tense regular verbs. Y algo que quería agregar para Gabriel Génesis es que cuando hacemos preguntas en pasado, que no sea con el verbo to be, la pronunciación en vez de decir, por ejemplo, did you play baseball last year or did you eat chicken yesterday? Did you cambia a did you, did you. Bueno, yo lo pronuncio dicha, dicha, como en alguna canción que anda por ahí, ok, y bueno, vayamos con la explicación. Dicha, dicha, dicha.
We use the simple past tense to talk about actions or events in the past.
I stayed home on weekends. I stayed at home last week.
I study Spanish. I studied Spanish.
There is only one form of the simple past tense. Simple past tense verbs end in ed.
Work. Worked. Arrive. Arrived. Study. Studied.
Okay, so I drew, dibujé, I drew a cross mark on the first verb because the pronunciation is with a T. Así que la cruz representaba una letra T, ok, en inglés la letra T solita sería T, T, ok, T, 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 entonces aquí sería worked, worked, ok. Después tenemos arrived, arrived, id. La última, studied, studied, id. Tenemos dos con id, la pronunciación, y la primera con la letra T. ¿Alguien tiene preguntas? ¿No? Escuché un micrófono.
Doctor, teacher.
Yes.
Es decir, ed sería en el verbo pasado, ¿no?
Así es, pero del grupo regular, porque el otro grupo que es irregular cambian su forma de ser completamente como si fuera una metamorfosis, como si fuera una butterfly. Empieza como un gusano, una larva y termina volando. Cambian completamente, pero sí, para los verbos regulares todos terminan con ed y hay tres pronunciaciones, de las cuales dos son las que más se utilizan. Por ejemplo, esta, que es con la letra T, worked, y la última, arrived, studied, id, ¿ok? Muy bien, entonces continuemos. Ahora vayamos entonces con la forma interrogativa, interrogative, utilizando el verbo auxiliar did, o también para negación, didn't, or did not.
To make negative statements, use did not or didn't and the simple form of the verb.
Chris did not go to L.A. Chris didn't go to L.A.
We did not stay home. We didn't stay home.
Okay, so two things. Number one, los dos son correctos. Ya tú decides cuándo utilizar con apostrophe or without the apostrophe, o de la forma corta. Las dos son correctas, pero más cuando hablas vas a utilizar el apóstrofo. Ok, Chris didn't, y esa es la pronunciación. Didn't, ok, lo utilizamos en la garganta. Didn't, ok. Y Ajá, lo siguiente es que el siguiente verbo está siendo auxiliado por pues este verbo que nos ayuda tanto para negar o para hacer preguntas. Por lo tanto, sí, estamos hablando del pasado, pero el verbo se queda en su forma normal. Por ejemplo, Chris didn't go, ¿ok? We didn't stay. Y la pronunciación es normal. Go, stay. Let's continue.
To make yes-no questions, use did and the simple form of the verb. Notice the order of the words.
I stayed home all weekend.
Did you stay home all weekend? Did you stay home all weekend?
Yes, all weekend.
Did you work all weekend?
I worked on Saturday.
Ok, so here voy a tomar el ejemplo de Chris. Aquí tenemos, pues es una oración en positivo, es decir, un statement. Ok, es un estado en positivo. Y aquí dice, I worked on Saturday. I worked on Saturday. Simplemente dice que yo trabajé el sábado. No necesito otra cosa. ¿Por qué? Porque estoy enunciando, estoy diciendo, afirmando que hice una actividad ya pasada. Aquí, como tenemos question mark, claro que necesito el auxiliar, pero siempre tengo que identificar el sujeto. ¿Ok? Did you? Did you? Did I? Did I? Pero cuando hablamos de él o ella, siempre vamos a tener una S. Entonces ya cambia a does. Does. Good.
We can answer a yes-no question with a long answer or a short answer.
Did you stay in a hotel?
No, we didn't.
Or,
No, we stayed with Sam's brother.
Did Emmy and Sam stay with you?
Yes, they did.
or,
No, we all stayed with Sam's brother.
All right, so estoy practicando la pronunciación como lo dice la plataforma. Dicho, 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 dicho. Yo lo pronuncio o he escuchado que al menos en los estados del sur, en los estados de Estados Unidos, dicha, dicha, dicha. Y aquí en la plataforma, dicho, 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 dicho. Y la pronunciación elevada, correcta, es decir, palabra por palabra es did you, did you, did you. Y bueno, ahí está para que tú elijas, obviamente después de ponerte en contexto. Es decir, estoy en un contexto formal or informal. Okay, number 6.
To make information questions, add question words.
I watched TV on Saturday night.
What did you watch?
To make information questions, add question words.
I watched TV on Saturday night.
What did you watch?
Ok, más música para mis oídos. Me encanta que utilicen este verbo, ok, good. Entonces, aquí sí, tenemos que exagerar. I watched TV on Saturday night. I watched TV on Saturday night. Y ahora, what did you watch? Ajá, ya empieza a ser un trabalenguas. What did you watch? What did you watch? What did you watch? What do you watch? What do you watch? What did you watch? Okay, so you can play, puedes jugar, practicar con estos verbos o con esta pregunta, pues para que tu entonación incremente, mejore, pulirlo, ¿ok? Number 7.
Here are other information questions.
Who did you talk to? What did he want? Where did they stay? When did you arrive?
All right, so la famosa pronunciación que acabamos de practicar, dicha, pues es obviamente cuando tenemos a you. Who dicha, what dicha, when dicha, where dicha. Pero ya cuando cambiamos de pronombre, es decir, de persona, ya sí ahora sí lo dices palabra por palabra como lo mencioné. What did he, ok, aquí ya no hay una pronunciación ahí, de cultura, culturalmente en situaciones reales, en las calles, es decir, ok. What did he want? Where did they stay? When did you arrive? When did you arrive? Y aquí hago hasta una leación porque termino con vocales. When did you arrive? Did you arrive? When did you arrive? ¿Qué tal si lo pronuncio palabra por palabra? ¿Hay problema? No, no hay ningún problema. When did you arrive? ¿Ok? Si queremos ser más claros, más, ¿ok? When did you arrive? Pero la forma más en español, en México, corrida, es decir, fluently, sería when did you arrive? When did you arrive? When did you arrive? Good. Number 8. Número 8.
Remember, there are two ways to make information questions with who and what.
Who talked to you?
The sales manager talked to me.
Who did you talk to after that?
I talked to one of the sales assistants.
What started the problem?
I'm not sure. I think Maggie is mad at Frankie.
I watched TV on Saturday night.
What did you watch?
Who, quién, what, qué o a qué, ¿ok? Voy a mandar un video donde se explica más, where these WH question words are explained thoroughly, más explícitamente, ¿ok? Good. Number 9.
To talk about a time in the past, we can use expressions with ago.
When did you arrive in the U.S.?
On May 21st, almost a year ago.
When did he go to New York?
2 days ago.
When did they leave? Just a minute ago.
Muy bien, pues aquí tengo esta flechita. ¿Y qué quiero dar a entender con esa flechita? Que en español se empieza con lo último. Por ejemplo, especialmente cuando utilizamos ago. Ago significa hace. Por ejemplo, hace un año. Pero aquí tenemos almost a year ago. ¿Ok? Y se traduce casi ya hace un año en este contexto, ¿ok? Pero si yo quiero decir simplemente a year ago, sería hace un año. ¿Qué tal hace 3 años? 3 years ago. Esa es la diferencia que quería enfatizar. 3 years ago, hace 3 años. Good. Muy bien, pues ya vimos lo que viene siendo el verbo to be en pasado, verbos regulares y la última explicación, como lo indica la unidad, seguramente tendrá que ver con los famosos verbos irregulares. Y aquí los tenemos, irregular verbs. Vamos a ver qué tan especiales y únicos son estos verbos que se transforman gramaticalmente, específicamente, cambian su forma y pronunciación, por supuesto. Algunos ni siquiera cambian. Por ejemplo, cortar, que es cut, se queda igual en pasado. Por ejemplo, I cut my finger yesterday. Es la misma pronunciación que en presente. Let's begin.
Hi, I saw a great movie yesterday. This is a sentence about the past. Saw is the past of see. Today, let's look at some more examples like this.
Many common verbs do not end in ed in the simple past. They have irregular past tense forms.
I see her every day. I saw her last week. He saw a great movie yesterday.
Remember, the irregular past tense form of be is was and were.
With irregular verbs, we make statements in the past tense like this.
Emily has a lot of work today. Emily had a lot of work yesterday. Emmy sees Laura every night. Emmy saw Luis last night.
Good. And remember, el verdadero verbo tener, para tener cosas que se pueden tocar, es el verdadero verbo to have, que en pasado have cambia a had, ¿ok? Y no es lo mismo decir el verbo was, que también significa tener, pero circunstancial. Solamente puedes tener tantos años y puedes tener, pues, algún tipo de sentimiento de enfermedad. Por ejemplo, yo tengo calor, yo tengo frío, ¿no? Se dice I am hot, I am cold. O incluso yo tengo hambre, I am hungry. Eso es con el verbo to be. Y obviamente lo podemos utilizar en pasado. I was hot, I was cold, I was hungry, I was. Con ese verbo tener son las únicas cosas. Es muy especial el verbo tener con to be, ¿ok? Pero para todas las otras cosas, tener, por ejemplo, cualquier sustantivo que se pueda tocar, ¿ok? O un sustantivo abstracto, el trabajo. El trabajo es en contexto, no me puedes dar trabajo en las manos, al menos no en todas las ocasiones, ¿ok? Pero otro ejemplo, para ser más claros, podría ser, Emily tenía 2 perros, ¿no? Emily had 3 dogs. Muy bien, mucho cuidado con el verbo to be en el contexto tener y el verdadero verbo tener. Let's continue, number 3.
To make negative statements, we use did not or didn't and the simple form of the verb. We form negative statements with regular and irregular verbs in the same way.
Emily had a lot of work yesterday. Emily didn't have a lot of work last week. Emmy saw Luis last night. Emmy didn't see Kate last night. Anna stayed in L.A. She didn't stay in San Diego.
Ok, para hablar en pasado siempre tenemos a unos amigos. Esos amigos se llaman los auxiliares, auxilian al verbo. especialmente cuando negamos o hacemos preguntas. Aquí estamos negando. Okay, so here is a negative statement. Este auxiliar auxilia pues a este verbo, que es el verbo núcleo de la pregunta. Y este verbo se queda normal. Emily didn't have, que Emily no tenía, ok, etcétera, etcétera. Mucho cuidado con el auxiliar. Didn't, ok.
We make yes-no questions with irregular verbs in the same way as with regular verbs. For yes-no questions, we use the simple form of the verb with did and change the order, like this.
Anna wrote 10 emails yesterday. Did she write to her dad? She sent her dad a package this morning. Did she send him a birthday present? Maggie told Paul the news. Did she tell him about the accident?
Okay, so in this case, we are in the interrogative manner, and here is the auxiliary verb. ¿A quién ayuda? Pues al verbo, y el verbo se queda en su estado normal, okay? Did she write? Did she send? Did she tell? Okay? Es decir, la única forma de escribir, pronunciar los verbos en pasado es cuando hablamos de la forma positiva, es decir, yo jugué ayer, I played yesterday, pero de ahí en fuera, para el interrogativo y el negativo, pues tenemos a nuestro famoso amigo auxiliar did o didn't, ¿ok? Y para las terceras personas en singular es does y doesn't. Muy bien.
We can answer a yes-no question with irregular verbs with a long or a short answer, just like with regular verbs.
Did you get those sunglasses in LA?
Yes, I did.
Or,
Yes, I got them in Beverly Hills.
Did you shop every day?
Yes, we did.
or,
Yes, we shopped till we dropped. You know me.
To make information questions with irregular verbs, add question words and change the order of the words, just like with regular verbs.
We stayed in LA last weekend.
Where did you stay?
We went to LA.
Where did you go?
Here are some other information questions.
When did you get to LA? How did you get there?
Remember, there are two ways to form information questions with who and what.
Who went to L.A.?
Emmy, Sam, and I went to L.A.
Who did you go with?
I went with Emmy and Sam.
What went wrong with the flight?
Nothing went wrong. Everything was perfect.
What did you go to?
We went to all the movie studios and a really good show.
Ok, como le expliqué, simplemente el who para personas y el what para situaciones o cosas. Ok, let's continue. Y eso sería todo por el día de hoy. Ya vimos nuestros 3 tiempos verbales, ¿ok? The verb to be, regular and irregular. Here we have todas estas actividades that I am going to activate today, and I will give you the rest 15 minutes of the class. Les voy a dar los 15 minutos que quedan de la clase para que así puedan trabajar en lo que vimos el día de hoy, which was vocabulary, grammar y los videos de introducción. Mañana trataremos, pasado mañana trataremos de terminar con esta unidad y así estar pues seguros de que vamos a terminar este módulo, ya que pues estaba largo, 5 unidades, sí, nos tenemos que apurar. Eso sería todo. Antes de que se vayan, before you go, tengo una encuesta. I have the poll, so give me maybe 30 seconds, 30 segundos en lo que I can launch it, para que la lance, ¿ok? 30 seconds.
Teacher, no me parece.
Yes, 30 segundos nada más, tengo que hacer un ajuste y bueno, ya lo tengo, vamos a contestar y bueno, tratemos de trabajar y las presentaciones, mañana es un día de presentación, ya saben que pueden mandar su presentación pre-recorded. Ya está siendo lanzada la encuesta, lo contestan y lo único que tenemos que hacer es trabajar en nuestra unidad 4, Unit 4 de este módulo. Por su atención y su asistencia, I appreciate your assistance and your attention. Thank you very much. Keep having a great night. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.